So many of you mentioned body energy, like being able to sense the energy in our bodies. One of the things that we can do is feel that energy between our hands. It's a technique that probably many of you have done before, and just kind of getting that sense. Of the energy amongst our hands, between our hands, that magnetic energy. So just getting in touch with the energy is something that's outside of our body that extends beyond the skin. And it's a part of us, a part of that flow through our body, and it extends even beyond the barriers of my skin and my musculature, the barriers of my body. I can still experience that energy flow through my body and beyond it. Yeah. So just as we were talking about how we can impact that energy flow as we connect with other people, part of what we want to do is experience the energy that we have with others. And so one of the exercises we're going to demonstrate now is how we might feel and connect with the energy of another person. So just watch for a second. And then in the virtual land, those of you that are individually on the computer, we'll have Mike pair you up in a second. And what we're going to do in a virtual way is connect with the essential energy of the person, eliminating the screen and just being really present. The beautiful thing that I found with the pandemic was it was such a test for me and many others on how we can really travel across time and space and connect into the energy of another, supporting that energy. So this is a nice opportunity for us to play with energy, which extends beyond our body, and for those in the virtual world to extend even further than our bodies across states and countries to really get to the essential energy of the person with whom you're connecting. So first we're going to demo us here, and then we'll let you do breakout rooms so that you can each experience it, and ones in the room that you partner together.
So basically we're charting the zones of energy around our bodies, because we have zones of energy that are fairly constant to us as a human being. Even amongst human beings, they can be fairly constant. Mm-hmm. So here's the experiment. One person is going to stand still. In this case, it will be Jayne, and I will going to move back and forth and around Jayne, and we're just going to breathe and feel our bodies taking these different positions. Okay? And for 2 minutes, you're going to have one person do the moving, the other person is stationary, but both people are doing the exercise. Both people, because you may be standing stationary, but someone's moving around you. How does that feel? Comfortable? What is a little less comfortable? And so on. This is what we're charting. So for example, when I am about 3 feet away from Jayne, and I go about here, feels like I'm in a little different zone. About 3 feet away is different. And if I go back even further, yeah, all right. Now I get about here. This is for me. This may not be the same for you, but for me, when I step into here, it feels like I'm in a different zone. Now, we're going to experiment with that even further, and you will do this. Is it okay if I come closer, Jayne? All right. Then you will come and just keep doing it slowly, just breathing, and notice what you're feeling in your body. Notice being eye to eye. we have a lot of folk expressions about our relationships have to do with our postures towards our body. Are you confronting someone? Are you seeing eye to eye? Which is very different than here or here. So experiment with this. Now there's another zone, again, depending on your comfort, if you're willing to, can I come in a little closer? All right. There's a zone about 6 inches. That's a different energy. Very different energy. They have a name for that in the vernacular, which I won't say, but it's a danger zone. Okay. You're either like really close and intimate, or it's like an invitation to fight. You know, sticking your nose in someone's face. All right.
And just to say something more about that, in different cultures, that's different. Because sometimes that can be a really okay space, depending on what culture you're from or where you operate.
Thank you so much for saying that, Jane, because I'm doing a lot of work in the Arab world. And sometimes in the Arab world, if you're not close, you're not in connection. And it's interesting when Arab and American businessmen, you know, the Arab businessmen will get and start talking, the American is backing up because culturally it's very different. And the person in the other culture says, well, what's wrong? You know, don't they want to do business with me? You know? All right, now a couple other things just to experiment with. I'm just demoing them right now. You'll have 2 minutes to play with all these on your own. So everything that I've done so far has been in direct facing Jane. Now, experiment with how your energy feels when you turn your back on someone. Again, both parties are feeling this. You go a little distance, you go a little, how does that feel? How does it feel when you're on someone's side? Are you on my side? Oh, you're taking sides. Now, again, with your comfort, if it's okay, can I go behind you, Jane? So you go behind a person. What's happening behind my back? How does that feel?
Do you have my back?
Yes, you have my back. Or turning back to back. And this is what we're going to do after you're done doing all these other experiments, both people have done, then you're going to do this final one where you actually touch the person's back and you communicate non-verbally, just with your back. First of all, you say, stay out with your back. Notice how that feels. Are you breathing? Now, give the message, it's okay to come in. How does that feel? Now, say goodbye with your back, not your words, just say goodbye with your back and then step away. Okay, one last thing I experimented with just briefly, but it's probably the most dramatic for me. One more thing, Jane, which is really getting down and looking up to someone. Just notice what your body does in that posture, that position. Or sometimes people get a chair if they're short, they sit on the chair and looking down on someone. But breathe with it and feel your body in each of these positions. Mike is going to put people in a breakout room, and for 2 minutes, one person will do these different positions with the other person on the computer. All right, you may not be able to get behind it if you got a desktop or something, but you can get out of the field of vision, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after 2 minutes, then the other person will be the mover and the shaker. That person moves around. And then you can do the virtual back-to-back, saying, stay out, come in. So 2 minutes for one person, 2 minutes for the other person, and then 2 minutes to share. Share what you experienced.
You can ask the person that's your partner to turn around if you want to experience, if both your partners are standing behind them as well. And then if you want to, then for the last exercise, you can both have your backs to the camera if you want, or forward facing and experience what that might be of keeping out, letting in from the front, either way.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you recommend we do this with eyes open or closed, or play around with that?
Play around with it. Excellent question. Yeah. How does it feel with eyes open and eyes closed? So the one that's moving gets to do the experimenting. Well, I suppose the one that's standing can experiment a little bit too. But the one that's standing, don't have your eyes closed the whole time. Leave them open so the other person can experience connection with you. Stationary. Yeah, from your read.
All right, so thank you for coming back for more. So what we'd like to do is, we're not going to all have an opportunity to share, but if there's anybody that really wants to share a little bit about that experience to the whole group, we'll take one or two people and just to hear how that exercise hit you.
Well, I had like a trauma response when I stood really close to Ashira and I started crying. And it was really interesting because like I'm a dancer and like I've spent a lot of years performing. So it's like was an interesting paradox to like think about how like I'm on display so much, but then like all of a sudden doing this exercise triggered this like big fear. And Ashira was great and like worked through it with me and helped me get present with the breath in my body, and then it just totally passed. But it's like, it just made me think of how it's easy to like move away from what you really need to like sit with and think that because you're moving, like because I'm a mover, that I'm clearing or healing. But it's actually the hardest. Like even in yoga, one of the reasons I love yoga is it's really hard for me to just be in like a pose like for an extended period of time and not just change into something else. So it just made me think about like there is movement of the body that's healing, but there's also stillness with the body that's healing.
Thank you, Chris.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for all the sharing, everybody. It's really perfect and beautiful.